Hello, community. How does a prompt look like in 2024? Remember, prompt is the primary way we communicate, we type, we speak, we design drawings, how we as humans communicate with artificial intelligence. So, let's have a look. What is state of the art right now? So, with prompt engineering after 1 year, we have more or less 13 categories. First one, use your API options. You have two general options, a chat completion API and just a completion API. Now, the system message, and always use a system message in the chat completion is, hey, you're an AI designed for a dynamic multi-turn conversation. Engage in a chat-like interaction. And then you ask the user, what's your favorite science fiction book? And the AI comes back and answers here in a chat-like interaction. However, if you want to perform some scientific work, you tell the AI in the system message, hey, you are an AI that processing single turn requests. Respond to direct prompts. And then you give it a task and you have now a non-chat-like interaction, but a fact-based interaction. Always use a system message. It is so helpful. You can say in a system message, hey, you are an AI system programmed to provide educational context in a conversational style. Avoid giving personal opinions or speculative information. And you see, it works. Use few short learnings. If the system message is, for example, in Spanish, hey, I'll give you some ideas. So please respond in similar ways. And then I tell you here in my user prompt, okay, so translate now to English, and I have here the Spanish, and this is for the cat is sleeping, and then I have another Spanish sentence. This means I'm eating an apple, and now please translate here this Spanish sentences, and GPT-4 comes back and says, yes, of course, the meaning is the sun is shining. So we have here given few short learning examples, and the system knows exactly what to do. Remember, not only here in the user prompt, but also define it in your system message. If you have non-chat scenarios, you can say in the system message, hey, you are an AI designed for non-chat talks like data analysis. Analyze and respond based on the data provided. And you can say only on the data provided. And you can say, hey, only on the data provided, and tell me if you're missing some data for a causal reasoning or whatever. Please experiment with those prompts. As I told you, clear instructions are essential. System message, begin each response with a summary sentence. So if I have now the task explain quantum entanglement, the system comes back with one sentence that has here the main content of the topic and then goes on. Prime the output. This is essential if you need the output to be further processed in a web design or in other systems to put it to a database entry. If you do some further calculation with it, or you just say in your system message, list the responses in bullet points. And you see, in Colab, it's not a bullet point, but a dash. Never mind. Be clear, be short, be precise. In your system message, you say, hey, use headings for each part of your response. You have your question, and then you have headings, and you know exactly how the first level of information, the second level of information. Use these functionalities. They're going to help you a lot. Break down complex tasks into easier to perform tasks for the AI. You can say in the system message, hey, break down complex tasks into steps, and then you have your question, and then you have the steps that are necessary for this. Use of affordances, yes. For example, in the system message, you say, use search query to verify the information. You can add on that you are giving me, provide at least 3 independent or 3 different sources, show me the sources, and so on. Or chain of thought prompting. This is the classical chain of thought, where we say in the system message, explain your reasoning in steps, or to be more precise, you can say, explain your reasoning step by step for each answer. It's absolutely up to you how to formulate this, but whatever is your task, please be precise what you want the system generates for you, and the system will generate it for you. Specify again, the output structure is essential. You can say respond with citation for each statement, or you say respond using a structured format as specified in the prompt. And then you can have here, for example, in your user prompt, a liquid template, or you just define it. Of course, we have parameters if we fine-tune LLMs and whatsoever, and we also have those parameters in inference. And I got the question, hey, if I'm not working on an API, but I just have a prompt, can I use temperature too? Yes, of course. You just formulate it in the system message. So you say, hey, respond with a creative, divergent ideas when I tell you that the temperature is high. And with focused, concrete responses, be more fact-based when I tell you that the temperature is low. And you see, now that I have my user prompt and have be innovative for recycled plastic users, and I say with a higher temperature setting. So this is now a semantic connex that the system understands, okay, the temperature is high. I have to create creative divergent ideas. Choose any other wording. You don't need to focus on temperature. Choose whatever you like. If the system is complex enough, it will understand your intention. And then the last one, of course, is grounding context. So what does it mean? In the system message, you say, hey, provide your answers exclusively based on the provided text, ensuring accuracy and relevance to the source materials. Maybe you add and then go and verify this with an internet search. Bring back 3 independent sources that verify the information here you found from the provided text. And you can add, show me what additional information you would need for a more complete analysis of the topic. Be open, experiment. It is so interesting, and the systems are so flexible and helpful. Great. This was it for the first 13 basic prompt engineering methods. All of this you can also read here in Microsoft Prompt Engineering Techniques. You have their beautiful summary if you want to have a deep dive. Or you go on this page and you click here on the training module, applying prompt engineering to Azure OpenAI Service, the training. It's about a 1-hour free course. And if you end this is the summary. So provide clear instruction, requesting output composition, adjusting the model parameters to your need, using contextual context. All of this can help improve the accuracy and the relevance of the response of our large language model. Great. I'll give you an example. If you say, hey, what sport is easiest to learn but hardest to master? You will get a simple answer. But if you prompt it a little bit more intelligently, and you say, hey, what sport is easiest to learn but hardest to master? Give a step-by-step approach of your thoughts, ending in your definitive answer, you get a better return. You know why? Because in the first part, you have here the step-by-step approach, how the AI encounters these problems. Identify the sports, consider the basic mechanisms, think about the various techniques and skills, compare the ease of learning, and then based on this, it gives you an answer. Now the answer is using this approach, and it goes through the steps. Now the nice thing, if you disagree or you think it's missing out something, you say, hey, between point 3 and point 4, insert another consideration, insert another analysis, reflect on this particular part of sport. You see, this is much more interesting for you, that you can teach the system what response you are expecting, what your analysis should contain on information. As I told you, I got some requests from my viewers about here the syntax. I normally use a liquid syntax when I talk to my LLM systems, you know, but it does not really matter. However, liquid, a templating language originally created for Ruby on Rails application, but now including the Rust programming environment, you can use it almost anywhere, particularly known for its use in web applications for content rendering, e-commerce. So you see, this is another meta language, if you want, you can use if you put in your commands in your prompt to your LLM. However, and this is the beauty, if you have a real, let's call it quote-unquote intelligent AI, GPT-4 even understands my craziest syntax. I build my own syntax. I just have to explain it. And look, I ask here GPT-4 for its preference. And it says, hey, whatever, my design and training enable me to understand and generate text based on a wide range of syntaxes and languages, including the template language Liquid for prompt engineering. But you know what? You can use any, if you are logic, if you are consistent. I have now the idea that I write out even the stupidest commands. But if I keep this command throughout the whole prompt, if I'm logic, if I have a start and an end flag, it does not matter because you just have to be clear and structured in your input. Crucial to provide clear, structured, and contextually rich prompts. If you're using a template language, ensure that the logic and intended output are understandable. Context awareness. GPT-4 tells me, hey, I can process and generate text based on the context provided in the prompt. If your prompt includes liquid syntax or any other specific formatting, just give me some background or example, and I will follow along. So, beautiful. So GPT-4 tells us, hey, I can work with specialized syntax like liquid. The key to effective interaction lies in the clarity and the structure of the prompts, rather than a preference for a specific syntax or language. If you are into one of those 10 additional templating languages, great. Maybe you know Ginger. Yeah, we talked about liquid. There's here 11. I have no idea what is time leaf. Okay, so just be consistent, just be logic. However, if you want to use now your LLM for a website design, now here's an example of generating some product description. So this is the liquid template in the prompt that I use here. So you see it's a rather easy template structure in my prompt. And then I just say, hey, generate some product description for the following items, and I provide them in a JSON file using the provided liquid template format here in my prompt. And then I get an output here, and you can see exactly how this looks like. And you can integrate this easily into web design and so on. Liquid syntax structures the prompt for generating product descriptions. It incorporates some conditional logic to add a special note for items on sale, for example, and the AI is then expected to fill in the placeholder with appropriate description based on the structured format. So if you have some rack and the rack brings you back, yeah, those are the 3 products that are here in our database, and this is exactly what matches your query with Liquid or any other template prompting structure. You can easily integrate this in web design. Make it even easier. Look, if you have a prompt like this here, write a birthday greeting for a friend named, and then you just have here a bracket that says friend's name. The greeting should be warm and mention, again, friend's name, enjoying, and then friend's favorite activity. Whatever you like to write, just write it, but use it consistently. GPT-4 understands that here friend's name and activity are placeholders. So when I now tell GPT, hey, right now, really, a birthday greeting for a friend named Alice, the greeting should be warm and mention Alice enjoying hiking, you don't have to specify that hiking is here the activity. The system automatically gets what is here the association here of the friend's name and the friend's favorite activity. And you get an output like, hey, happy birthday, Alice. Wishing you a year filled with adventure and joy, just like the wonderful times you have while hiking. May your special day be as fantastic as your tracks through nature. So you see, there is this basic understanding, and you just have to, you can go with some very simple notation. And if it's like GPT-4, the system understands. If you use really small LLMs, maybe you run into trouble. Therefore, you have to go to a certain level of intelligence or fine-tuning or alignment that the system is able to understand this placeholder structure. Okay, just want to tell you, this is a machine you're talking to. So you have to be specific so that the machine understands you. It is not a superhuman, at least not yet. Beautiful. So why not ask GPT-4 Turbo here on the art of prompting? What would GPT tell you? Hey, what are the most important points? Clear and precise language, be specific, be direct, provide context, manage context length if this is crucial, structure your prompts. For complex tasks, break them down into a sequence of smaller, manageable tasks, easy language. Chain of thought, helpful. Conditional logic. If you need the AI to make decisions based on certain conditions, structure your prompt in a way to reflect these conditions clearly. You help here the AI to perform the task that you want the AI to do. Few-shot learning, always helpful. Instruct with examples. Format and syntax, we just talked about this. Understand the limitations of your model. Look it up on what data it has been pre-trained on. Check on what data it has been fine-tuned. Fast checking, prepare to fact-check, of course, everything you get in response. And sometimes you have to have an iterative approach. Experiment. Don't hesitate to experiment with different styles. Go to a free demo, experiment, play around, and then when you know exactly how the system behaves, then go and you pay for the tokens. So let's do this on a professional level. So I go here, my chatbot arena, my Mistral 8x7B Instruct in Gemini Pro. And I say, so if you say that the key is understanding how to structure prompt and parse responses in a way that leverages the full capacity of the language model being used, then please explain this to me in detail since I want to learn the perfect prompting. So what are the top 10 recommendations for the perfect advanced prompt? We send it off to both models. Okay, Gemini Pro is under the way, but I think it is getting all the access because you see, at the moment it stops, then we have here Mistral 8x7B starts to work. So I have no idea how the load distribution is between those two models, but we can have a look now. Okay, yes, finish. So here we go. So let's compare this now. Wait a second. Okay, one. Yeah, my goodness, grandfather, come up. So be specific. The more specific you can be in your prompt, the better the language model will be able to generate a relevant and accurate response. Avoid being too vague or too broad. Provide context. Requires the language model to generate a response that is dependent on a particular context. Be sure to include that context in the prompt. Use examples. If you're asking the language model to generate a certain type of text, such as a poem or a story, provide examples what you're looking for. Generate a response that meets them. Ask direct questions. If you want the language model to generate a specific piece of information, ask a direct question. So instead of saying, tell me about dogs, you're asking here precisely, what are the different breeds of dogs? Great. Use proper formatting. Yes, sir. If your prompting requires a specific format, such as a bulleted list or a table, use proper formatting to make it easier for the language model to generate the response in the desired format. Consider the model's limitation. Keep in mind there are limitations. Some models may not be able to generate long responses. Yes, of course, others may struggle with complex requests. Adjust your prompt accordingly. I have to use my natural intelligence. Okay. Use natural language. Yes, of course. Avoid jargon or technical terms. Oh, this is a difficult one. Test and refine. Experiment. Pay attention what works and what does not work. Use positive reinforcement always. Leverage the model strength. Different language models have different strengths and weaknesses. Some may be better at generating creative content, while others may excel at answering questions or providing information. Play to the model strengths. Great. Mixtral? Yes, okay. Yes, I see it. Now, Gemini Pro. Understand the model capability and limitations. Okay, so we start with the limitations. Familiarize yourself with the specific strengths and weaknesses. Okay. Define a clear goal. Before crafting your prompt, have a clear understanding of what you want to achieve. Use natural language. Okay. Avoid overly technical or jargon-filled language. Okay. Provide context. Okay. Enough context to understand the task at hand. Okay. Background information, relevant documents, examples. Be specific and detailed. The more specific and detailed of your prompt, the better the model can understand and respond to your request. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And on we go. Clear instruction. Yes, here we go again. Concisely avoid using confusing languages that could lead to misinterpretation. Break down complex tasks. Break it down smaller, more manageable steps. Provide examples and counterexamples. Use an active voice. Okay. Sorry, may I ask what is a deactive voice? Okay. Use active voice instead of passive voice in your prompt. Is passive voice. And easier for the model to understand. Listen, model, you work for me now. Test and iterate. Experiment with different prompts and observe the model's responses. Iterate on your prompts based on the feedback and received from the model. Okay. So, which one was better? What do you say? I think it's a tie. I think both, absolute great. This is it. So is there anything you want to add that is important for prompt engineering? I'm clear, precise. I have a positive reinforcement and I provide some clear examples. And Gemini Pro goes off. It has all the resources. And we have error code 1 in Gemini. Okay. Prompt engineering. Yes, my goodness. 6 points, 7 points, 8 points, ethical consideration. Keep learning is an ever-evolving field. Have fun. Absolutely. Okay, so I would say prompt engineering failed on my Gemini Pro model. Yeah, okay, sorry. But let's have a look here at Mistral. Break down complex tasks. Okay, use templates. Okay, we will talk about this in a second if we have not already talked about Liquid. Test with different models. Consider the model's training data. Very good advice. You have to understand on what training data your models have been trained on. If it was a scientific text, it was poetry. This is absolutely important for you to understand, and the different languages that the model was pre-trained on. Not only fine-tuned, but pre-trained. Be patient. Language models can take some time to generate a response, especially for complex prompts. Be patient. I am always patient with my GPT-4. Experiment with different style. This is excellent. Try using different style on your prompts. I do this all the time. Negative reinforcement. Hey, GPT-4, you could do better. Consider ethical consideration. Be mindful of ethical consideration, bias and harm. Avoid prompts that could lead to harmful or discriminatory responses. Okay? Keep learning. This is so important. You learn every time you use this engine. Have fun. Prompt engineering can be creative and a rewarding process. Don't be afraid to experiment and try new things. You never know what you might discover, and A is better. Thank you. This was it for Mixtral 8x7B Instruct in competition fighting against Gemini Pro. So now that we have this, let's go in the professional area now. Now let's look at OpenAI. What does OpenAI tell us? As you can see in the documentation, we have a brand new prompt engineering guide by OpenAI. And they tell us, hey, we have 6 strategies for getting better result. And you're not going to believe it. It is write clear instruction, provide a reference text, split a complex task in simpler subtasks, give the model time to think, use some external tools, and test the changes systematically. Improving performance is easier if you can measure it. In some cases, a modification to a prompt will achieve better performance on a few isolated examples, but lead to worse overall performance on a more representative set of examples. Therefore, to be sure that a change is net positive, experiment with it. And you might say, hey, that's it? This is it? No. If you dive a little bit deeper, you see then examples here, step-by-step instruction, provide examples, specify desired length of the output. If you say summarize the text, delimit it by triple quotes, note that OpenAI systems like those triple quotes, so please use them. And you have then an insert text here, and you put this text in triple quotes, beginning and ending. 50 words. Sometimes it gets it, sometimes it does not get it. Paragraphs works really well. Bullet points, yes, beautiful. Yeah, you can have different messages. Ask a model to adopt a persona. Please notice a persona you don't have to completely style. You just say in the system prompt, hey, when I ask for help to write something, you will reply with a document that contains at least one joke or a playful comment in every paragraph. This is enough. You don't have to define personas. You see, this works just fine. Yeah, as I told you, use specific model-specific delimiters to clearly indicate the distinct parts of the input. Triple quote, beautiful, you know this. If you want more, you have really to deep dive into the example. So let's see what we find. Now it gets interesting by OpenAI. Look, this is just a system prompt, but for a specific question, and both system prompt go together. So let's have a look at this. You tell the system, hey, you will be provided with a customer service query. Classify each query that comes in into a primary category and a secondary category. Primary categories are billing, technical support, account management, or general inquiry. And then for the secondary categories, for each element, we have here a detailed structure. And now you get a call by a user, and the user says, hey, I need to get my internet working again. And now the AI exactly defines what is the job here. At first the primary categories and then the secondary categories. And then, for example, you can have here a telephone number attached or whatever information you have. So you see, now it gets interesting. Now you see how these telephone bots are constructed. A simple system prompt is enough. However, if you want to give also follow-on instruction, look at this prompt. System prompt goes, you will be provided with customer service inquiries that require troubleshooting in a technical support context. Help the user by. Now you see all the different options, and now you have here our qualifier and our specific placeholders. So at first, ask them to check that all cables are connected. If all cables are connected, ask them which router model if they're using. If the model of the router is yes, advise them to push the red button, throw it out of the windows and buy a new machine. But if the model number is something different, then advise them to unplug and replug here the router. Wait for 5 minutes before testing the connection. So you see, you have a whole structure of instructions you can give here the AI to reply to the customer. And then if the customer's issue persists after restarting everything, connect them to IT support by outputting here IT support requested. Or if the user starts asking questions that are unrelated, then, we have here this. So simple command, insert here the primary, secondary classification from above. This is above. And then the user will be connected with one of those departments. So you see, you have here the complex decision making in the active interaction with a customer. With 2 simple system prompts, you have here a call center robot if you want. Great. Other statements. You will be provided with a document limited by triple quotes. Remember, GPT-4 loves triple quotes. What significant paradigm shift have occurred in the history of artificial intelligence? And then you give it here some documents, some excerpt of documents. And you want to make sure that the system only takes into account excerpts, all relevant context needed to interpret them. In other words, don't extract small snippets that are missing important context. Reply in a JSON format. You can do everything you imagine if you think about here a clever way to instruct your system prompt and your user prompt. Yes. What is nice here, if you're a teacher, if you're a professor here, this is for you. compare your solution to the student solution and evaluate if the student solution is correct or not. Often you have the topic, you as a professor, you give some homework. So, problem statement, and this is explained photosynthesis or whatever. And then you have here the student solution. And let's say it's a mathematical solution and the answer should be 42, but the student comes back and says, hey, it's 47. Now, before you say, hey, this is the wrong answer, so 0 points, you say, hey, system, AI, GPT-4, look at the student solution, the complete deduction, how he or she found or arrived at this solution, and then compared with the solution that I provide you, which is the generally accepted solution here in academia, and then tell me how far off is the student solution. So we are not just valuing here the end result, and if the end result is wrong, we say, hey, the complete answer is worth 0 points. But here with this simple prompt structure, the AI will come back to you and say, hey, the idea of the student was right. This is the way to go. Unfortunately, in the last step, there was just an algebraic error. This is really something you can use if you are a teacher. Hint. Okay. What else? Yeah, here a little bit more interesting. Step 1, first work out your solution on the problem. Compare your solution to the student solution and evaluate if the student solution is correct or not. If the student made a mistake, determine what hint you can give to the student. So now we're just not evaluating the work of the student, but now we advise the student with a hint that maybe you can put in an email immediate reply without giving away the answer, so the student has the chance to find out himself here or herself the correct answer. So this here is a simple system prompt that the system evaluates and provides a hint for the student to arrive at the correct solution for the problem. I like this one too. And then I just wanted to show you, yes, of course, as I told you, if we have some a little bit more complex things with mathematics and you are not sure that the system really chooses the right way, you define here the problem statement, you show the system exactly an example, what you weigh, the way of reasoning, how it has to be. And then you just provide the example and then the assistant will evaluate this. Beautiful. As always, it's really helpful. Go to OpenAI, the cookbook. Over there, for example, here, December 8th, creating slides with the assistant API and DALL-E 3. You have really interesting topics and you see here completion, speech, vision, DALL-E, completion, assistant functions. There's always something to discover with the OpenAI cookbook. And you might now ask, and what now? Why did you show us all of that? Well, I just needed this as a refresher so that we're all on the same page when it comes to prompt engineering. Because you know what? There's a recent development. Look at this. You know that GPT-4 is currently the best AI that we have. And of course, Google, DeepMind or whatever, has now Gemini Ultra in the development and it will be released in 2024. Now, however, we only have benchmarks by Google, and Google, or the goal of Gemini Ultra is simple. It just has to outperform GPT-4 in every aspect to take the ground back to Google. This is an easy job. And now we have here from Google here the blog about AI performance, the marketing material where they tell us, hey, Gemini Ultra compared to GPT-4 in those benchmarks, you see Gemini Ultra is better. Full stop. Great. Job done. This is what we need to show. To retrain GPT-4 takes months and months. And now, of course, the question is, if those giants here are fighting here for the performance crown of the AI systems, they apply really interesting techniques. And here in this particular case, I came upon this one, where we have here, again, some benchmarks, never mind, the GPT-4 prompt structure, and then we have the Gemini Ultra results. Look, this is MLU, and we have 19.04. So if we go back, Gemini Ultra, MLU, 19.0. Okay, so 04. So wow, this is really precise for the Gemini Ultra results. You can check the other one, you find this, they're really spot on. And then you have some brand new from yesterday GPT-4 results. And now watch this. Now they claim that with some special magic, quote unquote, the GPT-4 results are improved. Look, from 1904 for Gemini Ultra, now GPT-4 can achieve 90.1. Instead, 94.4, GPT-4 can now achieve 95.3. This is now a race where we as free developer, free coder, free AI community, open source community, we can learn from this battle of those titans. So therefore, I had to show you at first this basic video. Now we are warm up. The warm-up phase ended right now. And in the next video, I will show you the technique, how you can achieve even better results with a GPT-4 system that has not been retrained to outperform Gemini Ultra, because maybe even for OpenAI, this retraining would be too expensive if it happens in an interval that is too short to be economically viable. But how did they achieve now, even in each and every column, to outperform Gemini Ultra? I think this will be interesting to watch in my next video. Hope to see you soon.